Today we're going to be talking about this article from The Nation.
The Nation, The Nation, The Nation.
Speaking of the nations.
Oh. Hello everybody and welcome to the Filipino Freethinkers podcast that's also a video. I'm Red.
And I'm Talia.
And today we're going to talk about something very exciting, making babies or having babies or children. Just read this link. It tells you about the risks of having kids nowadays. You read the article. What did it say?
It actually starts with talking about climate change and about how the writer or the author does care deeply about the changes that are happening now. So she discusses the dangers and how people are projecting things will turn out to be once their children are grown.
Yeah, okay.
So there are numbers like how Typhoon Sandys will come around very often once their child is in their mid-50s. And of course, we all know how we dealt with Sandy, and that was a fairly terrible disaster. And we would hate to live in a world where that's our norm.
Yeah, I mean, something closer to home, Yolanda. Like, imagine having that every week, every month. How often did they predict?
Or multiple, or for the Philippines, multiple times every typhoon season.
Yeah, and that's the kind of world that if you had a kid right now,
if you were giving birth right now,
if you're having sex right now while watching this podcast and you're not wearing protection, wear protection. Anyway, if you weren't, let's say, then the kid that will be born 9 months or 7 or 8, if you're
watching us while you're giving birth during labor right now,
our audience is growing.
Yes.
Yeah. So your kid will probably have a different experience, a much more dangerous experience.
Yeah. They probably won't be playing in the rain anymore because it'll be so dangerous.
Yeah. You'll probably be risking your life like Mar Rojas did when he went to Tacloban.
Yes.
In that,
for
you read the comic book, anyway.
That he did not publish.
Yeah, politics. Anyway, that's the kind of world we live in now. Climate change is real. There's still a debate, strangely enough. For people
of the 2% and the 98%.
Do the research, read the studies. But global warming is happening.
Yes.
And that would mean places that would not even be around because they would be underwater, 50, 100 years from now. And that's the kind of legacy that we'll be leaving our kids. And now some people are suggesting that you should take that into consideration.
Yes.
When you decide about having a child, right? And that's what we're talking about today, like the considerations that people should have when having kids and the motivations that often trump those. Because I think the norm is still that having kids is the thing to do.
Yes, you get a job, you get married, you have children.
Yeah, that's just, religion teaches us, go forth. Culture. Go forth and multiply. And even, people bring up the 2.1, just the replacement rate. The parents just replace themselves and account for all of the accidents and whatnot. And if you say that you do not want kids, what do you get? You are selfish.
Oh yes, especially for a woman, there are a lot of things.
For women, yeah.
There are a lot of things that women hear when they say that they don't want children. Often, it's just a phase, you'll get over it. But that's the most fulfilling part of your life.
Yeah.
That is your purpose. And yes, you're selfish and conceited, and how could you not want a child?
Yeah.
And and of course, you're being inconsiderate to your husband.
Research in the US has actually shown that women who say that they do not want kids, that they want to stay single, they're hated.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty extreme. They're not,
They're reviled.
And why is this? Why do you think this is?
I have a feeling it's more of a gut instinct that for so many people it was so ingrained in them that almost all women would have children unless if they were becoming nuns. Especially here, they think that the only paths a woman can take are either they become a nun, they become a mother, or they're barren. For a lot of people, they don't think or they can't imagine a woman who chooses not to have children even if she's able to.
Yeah.
So for a lot of them, it goes against their instincts or their culture, and it goes against what they would see as the natural way of life.
Or their worldview. Worldview is a very powerful thing. And when people live a different lifestyle than you do, it kind of, it's a it's an indirect argument against your lifestyle.
Yes.
It's not just that you chose something else. Like there's an implicit, maybe your kind of way of living life is wrong.
Yes.
Right? And when people with a different worldview, they see these other women who choose to not have children and are happy.
Yes.
They kind of, wait, does that mean I'm wrong? Did I live my life? What about all of my sacrifices?
Yes.
Then they react in a very sensitive way.
They take the other person's life choices as a critique of their own.
Yeah.
More often than not. Simply because a lot of women who are mad at the women who choose not to have children, they never really thought that they had the option not to have children.
Yeah.
So that is one reason why I think a lot of them got angry.
Yeah.
When they were faced with it.
But things are quite different now. Like more and more people, studies show that as younger women or women in general are more educated, they delay the sexual act, they have less children or no children at all.
They don't delay the sexual act, they just delay having children.
No, they actually also delay the sexual act.
Really?
Yeah. When you teach them about sex education. Do you want to have kids?
No.
Do I want to have kids? Not now. Maybe in the future I would. For me, it's just I'm not motivated to. But my friends who do want to have kids, let's talk about their reasons for wanting to have kids. Like one very conceited and proud, arrogant bastard friend. He just
I know this friend.
Yeah, he just says that he thinks his genes are good and he wants to make offspring that have his genes. Improve the gene pool. He thinks he's smart and handsome, and adopting would mean that he would have an unattractive. Okay, but all kidding aside.
But we also have another friend who is also conceited and arrogant, who says that he thinks he could raise children better than most other people, and that's why he wants to have children.
Okay, so far we've been mentioning he.
Yes.
Yeah, in both instances.
Both scenarios.
Yeah, I think
we have more than two friends though.
Yeah, of the friends, of the female friends that I have now, I don't know of one who wants to have kids. Like all of the friends in my or our close circles, the men maybe want kids, but the women do not want kids.
More often than not, but it could be our circles, because the circles I share with the Filipino free thinkers, almost none of the women want children, whereas the women from my workplace, which is a lot more conservative, a good number of them do want children.
Yeah.
Of course, when I asked them about it, they just said, well, that's what women do. That's the most common response I've gotten from the women who wanted children. It's a part of their life as they envisioned it when they were 8, while they were drafting their wedding dress.
Yeah.
It was that image that they had ever since they were being brought into the culture of the Philippines.
So you think conservatism and liberalism has something to do with whether people want to have kids?
Oh, definitely,
definitely. Because religion is an important part of any conservative person's life, and religions tend to say have kids. Children. And it's this there are competitions of between religions, like the quiverfuls, they want to make more babies than the other religion. There are fears that some people have that Europe, for example, would be overrun with Muslims, and so the Christians are trying to have as many kids as possible to prevent that from happening.
But they're also losing their Christians anyway.
Yeah. Reminds me of one friend, a common friend, who is a guy, and he thinks secular people are having less and less children, and that's why he's having children with because he thinks it's his responsibility. And I think related to secularism, like there was a prediction before that by this time that religion won't be as important anymore in certain places. But that secularization theory failed because the researcher failed to take into account the fact that religious people outreproduce non-religious or secular people. I see
that though.
Kids, you want people to take care of you when you grow older.
Yes.
You don't want to be lonely in the last years of your life, right?
And for a lot of
some people give that, yeah.
Given the economic state in the Philippines, for a lot of them, it's their contingency plan. It's their retirement plan to have children, that they will invest in a child who can be more successful so that someone will take care of them when they eventually die.
Yeah, people often, the pro-life, anti-choice people, they point to places like Japan, where there's a huge aging population with no kids or young people to take care of them anymore, and fears of the demographic winter, but as we've argued before, that's just fears of the wrong kinds of babies multiplying. But anyway, back to the issue of having kids. A lot of people think that criticisms of having kids is the same as criticism of the right of people to have kids.
Yeah, which I think, well, the issue of having children is very emotional for the people who want
it's a very private and personal issue.
It's usually part of the ideal life people imagine for themselves. And when you say something criticizing a part of that ideal, they take it as a criticism.
As a personal attack.
Yes, they take it as a personal attack because you're criticizing everything they wanted, And I find that it's a very instinctual reaction.
Yeah.
Because they can't separate the idea of having children and the idea of their future children. Because you're saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't have children, or maybe I shouldn't have children. Is what they hear is, hey, that child named Melissa in your dreams, she should die. That's what a lot of them are hearing.
It's like psychic abortion.
Yes, psychic future abortion.
In conservative countries such as ours, abortion, any kind of abortion is bad.
Even to save someone's life.
Even to save someone's life. So people have this idea of what they're supposed to do, and you already mentioned that for a lot of people, the option or the consideration of not having kids does not even come into play. But I believe that having kids is one of the most important and meaningful things that a person can do, right? There are a lot of things at stake. We already mentioned the environment. That's a very real consideration people should have. Babies fart a lot. No, I mean,
not cows.
All kidding aside, their carbon footprint is like through the roof. There's the environmental consideration, but also there's the rearing of a human person. I mean, that's no joke. I mean,
definitely not.
Even the best experts, they don't necessarily make good parents. They can see all of their failings.
Yes.
But the average parent, I think, who can even be prepared to be responsible for another human life?
Exactly.
Right? I don't think that people consider this enough.
Yeah.
I believe there should be classes. People should
and
take
tests.
classes. Yeah, I'm not saying or tests.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good thing. Parents should get these tests.
Yeah. Do you understand what trauma is?
Yeah, to see how good of a parent they would be, or whether they know what they're getting into at least.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the government should make it law that these tests should be taken, or that training should be done. But it's a good thing. It shouldn't be, mandated.
Yeah.
But people should have this option. It would be a good thing because I think too few people know what they're really getting into.
Yes.
And we're not saying that people should definitely not have kids. I think what I'm at least saying is that people should make enough consideration. I mean, consider it enough. Like, think about it a month, a year. You'll have the kid for 18 years at least. And
at
then
the very least.
And then they go out and then do their own thing. But for 18 years,
lucky.
you're going to be responsible for them. And, what's a month or even a year of considering it, weighing all of your options, looking at the environmental considerations, the personal...
And the impact on not only your life and your family's life, but the life of the child you might have. The lives of the people that child would later affect or create.
Yeah.
It's a thing that a lot of people don't really imagine. They imagine, walking the dog with their 2 children. They imagine all of the birthday parties. They don't imagine waking up at 3 in the morning when you have a 6 a.m. meeting.
Yeah.
They don't think of that. They think, oh, I'm going to be happy. They don't think, oh, I'm going to cause possibly irreversible trauma to another human being.
Yeah.
And,
or even just the mother dying.
Yes.
Like, there are pregnancy-related complications that can lead to your wife or the woman dying. That's a real consideration. The baby itself could die, You know, there could be miscarriages. And studies have actually shown that happiness tends to go down because of having children. You know, happiness is one of the main reasons people think, you know, people give for having children. You know, but it's, I think, sure, there could be happiness, or it's a kind of fulfillment that's a long-term thing. Because in the short term, people get so stressed when they have kids, and that's why the sexual act is so pleasurable, because it makes up for all of the stress. You know that sex better be worth it. Thank you for watching this episode. I know that we might be a bit one-sided in this episode. There's no...
Yes, we tried to find someone who wanted children, but he refused to join us. But we did try to give you his points.
Yeah, but as always, if you have comments, if you have violent reactions...
or happy reactions...
yeah, please comment here. You can send an email to secretary, you like how I said it, at filipinofreethinkers.org. Secretary at filipinofreethinkers.org. We will also discuss this at the meetup. And by the way, the meetup is where we announce the winner of the Pang-ilang Pangulo ng Pilipinas si ERAP Challenge. We will give you a prize. We will buy you a drink.
I will personally buy you a drink.
She will personally buy you a drink. So see you at the meetup. Details of that will be posted on our site, on our social media channels. On behalf of Talia, Garrick, and the analyst desk, see you next week.